Hey everybody, it's me, JDPOZ, showing my face on camera apparently today, and I guess try something a little different. So today I wanted to talk about a show I've recently watched called Silo. Now some of you probably know this is based off a book called Wool, but I have not read the book. It's on Apple TV. They just finished their first season. It's about a group of humanity inside of a literal silo that's like 100 and something stories tall, deep underground in the earth. And they are there and they're not sure why, but it seems in general that they're there because of some sort of pollution reason or something that's dangerous outside. And they've been there for like more than 150 years, probably close to 200 from what I can guess. And it's a pretty interesting show, but I did want to talk about some stuff that I thought I hadn't seen anywhere else yet. And I guess some of my thoughts may make you think I have kind of a hot take, but here we go. Premise was really cool. Started watching it, and it has a lot of really big name actors in it. People like Tim Robbins. It has the actress, people are going to make fun of me. I know her from Dune as Lady Jessica, the mom of Paul Atreides. Plays one of the lead characters in this. She's the one they're promoting on the posters and things. And a few other people whose faces I recognize and names are a little less familiar to me. The show's first couple episodes were really cool. I thought that the world building was absolutely astounding. It seems like the set design, everything really felt like a believable, self-contained bunker that people had made warmer over generations. So my initial sort of ending thoughts, Mayor Tim Robbins takes the drive and takes a hammer and smashes it right there. Gone, right? And then a scene later, he is seen at his desk by himself in private. And I thought to myself, that doesn't make sense, like not from like a standpoint in the book or anything else, but just like internal logic, right? So if I'm some sort of power hungry authoritarian type and I'm wanting to take this thing and keep people from knowing about it, I destroy it and that's it. That's my goal. But if I'm like selfish and want to keep it for myself, if I've got the person in my custody or whatever, and I get the drive, I'm going to confiscate this for myself. I'm taking it with me. Can't have this. You don't destroy it right in front of them. So why does he smash it with a hammer in front of her? I mean, she's about to be sent out to die. And so like, what does he care what she sees? Are you planning to keep it for yourself to look at? Then why smash it with a hammer? His character seems to be one who's more interested in the authoritarian angle than he is about, say, curiosity. In the same way that Billings, the judicial appointed, aka Commons inside guy, his character was like, the stand-in for like a religious zealot type, right? So when his character has the Georgia guidebook, the children's book, him destroying it and being torn about it, literally tears a sheet out for himself, it makes sense because he's sort of conflicted, right? He's this like guy who wants to stick to the pact or the religious text that is supposed to try and help keep authoritarian type in charge, whatever. Him questioning that and sort of being angry at himself for being weak and wanting to keep a page for himself makes sense. He's struggling with that, right? But Tim Robbins' character never shows that. He wants to be in charge. He likes being in charge. The very first episode, what's her name, Rashida, she does something and posts something to a message board, and because Tim Robbins' character is like, super authoritarian, needs to be in control, he's like, I deleted your message and put up, the right one or whatever. I forget what he did. But anyway, his character has been shown from the get-go as someone who is ambitious, wants to take control, likes being in charge, and doesn't like people usurping that authority. So he's a perfect, analog for an authoritarian type. So anyway, that was the first thing that really kind of bothered me about like the, ending stuff. I was like, okay, why did he do that? That doesn't make sense. The next thing that really bothered me, and again, I'm really surprised no one said anything about this, the hermit, obvious mom stand-in for Nichols' character. I forget her name. I just call her the hermit electronics lady. We're shown that she is afraid of leaving her apartment for some reason. And I say for some reason because after the entire season, we don't understand why. There's no hint to it. There's no thing dangled to let us empathize with her. We just know that she's a sad old woman who, for whatever reason, is afraid to leave, even though she's a warm person to Nichols' character. We see her struggle trying to get the courage to leave the room when Nichols is dragged away by the judicial people to literally be sent to her death. The show seems to think that if they play some really inspirational music and show her hand grabbing the wall and, oh, I don't know if I can do this, then that's enough for us to go, oh, that's sad, that's tough. I think that's kind of crappy. They're trying to trick you. We're telling you this is sad by using music that it gives that sort of emotion, and we're hoping that means, you need to feel sad right now. You need to feel like she's courageous or whatever. But that's not how you do that with a character. The way you do that is you show them that thing that lets us understand why it's hard. A better way to have done this maybe might have been if, and again, I haven't read the book, so forgive me speculating, if something terrible happened in the hallway outside of her room. That would make sense as to why she doesn't want to leave it. Maybe it was when she was a young child. She watched the judicial goons drag her mom out and knock her out or something. And like when she lay lifeless on the ground, she saw her eyes staring at her from the hallway. So when she walks out in the hallway, she sees those eyes or something traumatic that would lead us to understand why she's so afraid. Because just telling us she's afraid and, good music and good cinematography doesn't matter. I don't know about anybody else, but during that moment, I wasn't really moved. And in thinking about why she wouldn't go outside, there's another character I was actually reminded of. Really great movie. If you never watched it, jump away from this, go watch it, come back. The Truman Show. Truman is a character who lives in a world that is controlled by a TV studio. It's basically an unwilling reality TV star. This is an era actually before, if you can imagine, reality TV was a big thing. The closest we had was the real world. Anyway, in the movie The Truman Show, Truman, played by Jim Carrey, is a character who has lived in the same place his entire life. He never leaves the area because he has a trauma that has occurred at some point early on in his life. It literally made him afraid of the water by having, I think, his father character drown. In reality, he didn't drown, they snuck him away. The real reason he never leaves the area is because the show has to take place in a big, giant, enclosed studio, and so they can't have him leave, so they have to have a reason for him not to. We root for him to overcome that trauma because ultimately, him escaping that and overcoming it is what leads to his freedom at the very end, where he does the, in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and walks out the door. It's a big, important moment, not because he's just getting out and the movie uses music and stuff to sort of sell us an idea that it's this brave, amazing thing he's doing it. We know why he has never left, and we know how horrible it is for them to have done this to kind of psychologically make him afraid to leave. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. The whole point is, if you're gonna have a character who is like the shut-in trope or whatever, the best way to make the audience be moved by the shut-in, is something like what we see here, where Nichols being captured is what motivates her to leave, but also where we know what caused her to be afraid. And we never know what that is. And so this moment feels like a less impactful one than it could be. Okay, so another thing, the generator crew, they seem like a really tight-knit group, and they all work together, and they literally, a couple episodes before this, I think they fixed the power system for the entire silo. They have a singular, gigantic, magical, weird future tech generator thing at the very bottom of the place, which is where Nichols was before she became sheriff involuntarily. She almost single-handedly saved the entire silo, and the head crew guy for the generator team just turns her in. And it's out of left field. What I mean by that is the character doesn't have any like headbutting or clashing that I remember really strongly in the show. He's not like some sort of ambitious guy in the same way that the Tim Robbins IT character that becomes mayor is. He doesn't ever seem like he's threatened or whatever. There's no like sort of interaction that makes you think like, I need to get rid of her so I can be in charge or anything like that. So him just turning her in is like, wait, what? Why? One, they don't have this clash, but two, she just saved the entire silo. It would seem like if anybody's ever worked in a tight group like that like the dynamics would almost like demand that everybody know you're not going to take it away. It's the, oh, captain, my captain kind of thing, right? For the people who are moved by the bravery and the ingenuity and the sacrifice. I mean, she literally almost was boiled alive. The point being, they never on-ramp that sort of like turn at all. There's no hints at or anything. So him being like, everybody else would be in trouble if, we didn't turn her in, feels like unearned. And also, when they take her away, where was the guy who was up there in the generator with her? The one who was up on the line who put the last piece in, who's like her shadow. That's a real good opportunity moment to have them like, if they were going to not have it so everyone fought to stop them, they do something to hurt him. And then she tells them, no, don't fight because they'll hurt the rest of you. They already hurt, whatever his name was. But no, they're just like, one character I think is upset, and it's the girl with the short hair or whatever, and she's like, no, don't take her, and whatever. But that was the only struggle put up. I don't think that would be the case. Those guys would be having their big wrenches. They would be like duking it out or whatever, I would think. And so those two things were really strange, right? And again, she saved the entire silo's power grid. Episodes before, they were showing the whole thing was like shaking, right? Like it was coming apart, and the only person they could count on to fix it was her. And now they're gonna just send her out? Like, This seems really short-sighted. If the whole most important thing, the survival of the silo, anyway, it's really stupid. To make her do all of those things, it makes her like a real super important character that doesn't seem likely that they would do stuff to. It seems like more likely they would hold somebody hostage to force her to do what they want. And if you don't behave, then we'll hurt this less important person who's only important to you. The biggest thing though really bothers me, I don't want to get political or anything, but we look to in history for lots of times when authoritarianism falls away due to its desperate need to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze until a breaking point occurs. This show, and I don't know about the book, but it fundamentally doesn't grasp what that structure is like. Typically, when there's an authoritarian sort of thing in power, the way they maintain control is by othering some other group, right? But the reason that doesn't wake up a thing like the silo is because the silo is this single society where about 1,000 people live, and it seems like everyone knows everyone. So the sort of tribalistic tools that authoritarians tend to like to use would not be very effective. Oh, the reason we have to shut off the power every day is because of the XYZs or whatever. They can blame an external other, usually some sort of marginalized group, say that they're the reason things are bad. But the show sets up a premise that doesn't allow it to do this. They have the pact. The pact says every person's job matters. Every little deed they do is important. And you see it, like the mayor is friendly with everyone. They know the sheriff, they know people who work in the deep down. It seems like they look down on them, and it doesn't seem like it would follow with the pact where everything's important. So, and also authoritarianism tends to thrive and exploit vast class differences. And sure, the deep down's dirtier and their rooms seem a little more hoveled and everything, but it's not like the top floor people were living in absolute opulence, right? Just for comparison's sake, say like the Hunger Games, the capital is split off from the rest of the districts, right? And I can't believe I'm making because I think Hunger Games and all these other things, the success of Harry Potter and Twilight, all these places were trying to search for that. Hunger Games is pretty good. It's not great, but it's better than this as far as this depiction of the structural nature of how authoritarianism like this inevitably leads to revolution, and sometimes change for the better, sometimes short-term change for the better and then for the worse, or just worse, depending on what the outcome is. But the silo, everyone's place is about the same size, a little nicer, I guess, a little bigger up top. The show doesn't seem to understand that authoritarianism and class structures and stuff don't work like this. Like they constantly keep saying people are uneasy, they're unhappy, they feel like it's not safe anymore. And it's like the thing with the lady being scared. They have to tell you it really, they have to telegraph it super hard with a hammer over your head. See, it's sad music. See, she's being brave. Look, we're zooming in on her hand and making it shake, and she's gripping it really tightly. Go, oh, she let go. Oh, how brave. Like, again, that in a vacuum doesn't work well. It doesn't ring as genuine. This is the major thing that really, I guess, bothered me the most about Silo the more I watched it. It initially seemed like it was an interesting concept, and I really am hopeful that maybe the second season, there's some stuff that is better or whatever, but the thing I have to say in closing with all this that worries me the most is I feel like I'm getting some, like, Lost vibes, like in a bad way. I know there's people who are fans of Lost. Please don't scream at me in the comments. I know it's an amazing show that I should watch, but I'm not going to. And the reason is because I have watched J.J. Abrams explain his trick for that show. And it's like knowing how a magic trick's done. I don't want to watch the magic show after I know how the magic trick's done. Abrams does a thing that he likes to call a mystery box. There's literally a whole TED Talk where he talks about this. I think it's a TED Talk. And he swears by it in all the stuff that he writes. And you can see it in all of his stuff after watching this thing. And Lost is the worst offender of this. And what he does is creates mystery boxes, and without actually figuring out what he's going to do when people open them, but knows that the pure intrigue of having a mystery that the audience wants to solve will drive them to stick with whatever it is, even if it has glaring issues, or you never actually answer questions, or it's a constant carrot that you're hanging just out of arm's reach until you want to explain it to them or whatever. Anyway, those are the vibes I'm getting from this. And here's the specific mystery box things I want to point out. The syndrome. I want to know what the syndrome is. I want to know what causes it. I want to know if it's symbolically meaningful. Is it something that results from radiation? Is it some sort of mutation? Is it some sort of trauma that we don't get to know about? I want to know what it is. but it feels like whatever it is isn't that meaningful because they didn't even give a hint as to what it is in this season. Again, I haven't read the book, so I don't know, but I was kind of upset that we never got any information explaining anything more about it, other than people who have the syndrome are treated as less than because of the syndrome. They can't do this or that because they have the syndrome. It's really bad, you guys. Why is it bad? I mean, shakes. Don't let them hold your soda. I don't have that. They have sodas in the show. I want to know why it's a big deal. And that's not enough to get me to want to watch the show again. Now, to be fair, I'll probably end up watching it mostly because my spouse wants to keep watching it, because she will watch stuff for the mystery box, even if she knows it's a mystery box. But I overall was excited about the show. I liked the trailer. I liked the opening stuff. I love the world building. Ultimately, world building and all that doesn't matter if you don't have a show where characters feel like they're doing things that make sense, things that a normal human brain would react to. And here's the last one I want to leave with. So at the very end, when Nichols is sent out to clean, they call it, really it's just sent out to die, ostensibly poison atmosphere. They send her out to clean and they're like, oh, everybody goes out, they clean or whatever. And it's like this big predictive thing the founders knew. I thought that the cleaning thing was going to be some sort of like, oh, it's being done by CGI or something, and that's how they guarantee it, because acting like there's some sort of guaranteed human behavior for this didn't make sense to me. The character did this like super edgy, rebellious, like holds the thing up and drops it at the camera. If you're really this rebel and angry that they sent you out to die just for telling the truth and trying to explain to people what was going on, what would you do? You'd take back and smash the camera. That's what you do. You'd or give him the little whoop and then smash it, right? That's what, was the rebellious thing to do or whatever, right? I don't know. It's just, I felt like the whole like, boom, and they added a bass drum. I think they added a bass effect to it whenever she dropped it, like boom, like, oh, this is a big deal. Again, using these sort of what felt like cheap tricks to kind of act like something is more impactful than it actually is. And it just left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't want to say I'm the only one, but maybe I'm the first to talk about it. But yeah, I just wanted to make a video about it and see what people thought. Share your thoughts or additional observations about things that maybe nagged you that you want to get off your chest. I'd love to read that stuff here. Subscribe, like, and all that good stuff. And until next time, JDPOZ. I'll see you later. Doesn't go on dates or something or whatever, right? They're a shut in or something. You would show a reason why by like saying, like giving a thing that shows like they had a bad date or something, right? Like, I don't know why this is coming to my mind the first thing, like, but something about Mary, Ben Stiller's character has a terrible time at prom. I don't want to get into the graphic detail of it, but it's a terrible time. And so that's kind of used to give a reasoning as to why he has trouble with dating later in life. He has this sort of traumatic event thing that happens to him. That's a really dumb example. I'm probably going to record over that, but that's the first one that popped in my mind for some reason.